Welcome back to BST, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me on yet another episode. We got a lot to talk about today. NBA free agency, NHL free agency went down in the past little while. Still waiting on stupid Nikolai Ehlers to sign his contract, but I guess we're just not going to be able to talk about that one today. I'm sure he's going to sign with a contender. Probably like a 7 by 8, $8.59 million deal, something like that. That's my guess, at least, for what Nick Ehlers signs. We'll get to the NHL. I want to start in the NBA. But first, thank you guys so much for getting us to 117 subscribers. That's awesome. Keep on climbing. We'll see where it goes from here. I think we got like 140 something on TikTok, so awesome stuff right there. But let's get right into the sports here. In the NBA, a lot of free agent signings. And let me tell you, the NBA is the most confusing sport there is when it comes to cap space, salaries. I can't make sense of it. Maybe I'm just stupid. The max contracts are stupid to me. I don't understand that, how a player just can qualify for that. I don't fully understand the requirements. I don't get the bird years and the second apron and the luxury tax, all that. I think any sport is better with a hard cap that you can't go over, like the NHL, the NFL, and Major League Baseball is a whole nother story. They are maybe the worst in that department. I mean, you have the Yankees and the Dodgers who pile up the payroll to the ceiling. So it's not the worst thing. At least teams are. There's a little incentive to be under the salary cap, but plenty and most of the good teams are over. But yeah, I just wanted to say that. Like I think it's one of the just the most confusing systems for the average fan to understand. But let's get into this. Instead of talking about just the every free agent, not a very exciting class. A lot of the stars, like Kyrie, LeBron, all took options to stay with their teams. So it's not that exciting, a bunch of these signings, but there are some pretty interesting stories, particularly with three teams that I want to discuss. So let's start with the Lakers. Didn't make very much noise, which a lot of people thought they would make some noise, get a center. That's kind of what they were missing last year. They made Rudy Gobert look like this offensive dynamo when they faced the Timberwolves in the playoffs, and that was just because they had nobody who could defend him. They were playing an extremely small ball system, and the Luka LeBron experiment didn't go exactly to plan. They won a lot of games after they acquired Luka in the regular season, but it just didn't work out in the playoffs. So I especially thought going into this, the Lakers would heavily pursue some free agents, but at the end of the day, there wasn't a lot available to pursue. So I like their approach of staying conservative. Their two signings were Jake LaRavia. I don't know how to say his name. They signed him 2-year, $12 million deal. I've heard this guy's kind of talented, and maybe could make some noise. I don't know. I've never heard of this guy or watched him play. I don't know where he played before. So that's interesting. And just recently today, DeAndre Ayton, 4-year, 16.6. I feel like it's not a 4-year deal. I feel like I got that wrong. I feel like I wrote that down wrong. I feel like it's just a 2-year deal, but let me check. Yeah, 2-year deal. Not a 4-year deal like I wrote. Idiot. 2-year deal, $16.6 million deal. Obviously, he was bought out by the Trailblazers. So this is the center that maybe fixes the problem for the Lakers in the meantime. The Mark Williams trade last season at the trade deadline didn't go through. That would have helped them quite a bit, but You would have had to. I think Dalton Connect was in that trade. Not sure if you want to trade that guy. So you get Ayton here, who talented player. He went first overall in his draft year, so he's talented. But there are definitely character concerns. But hey, Luka was fat when he went to LA, and now look at him. He's chiseled. He's like a Greek god right now. Awesome for Luka though, to prove the haters wrong. Pretty much his only haters were the Dallas Mavericks organization. I'm pretty sure everybody else in the league thought he was just fine. But like Mavericks thought he was fat, and they not once did they say, "Oh, well, why don't we help him eat a little bit better and work out and maybe improve his work ethic a little bit?" No, let's trade him anyway. Don't get me started on that one. So interesting here. And the big story coming out of this is LeBron's agent had some words, we'll say. So this was the full quote. LeBron wants to compete for a championship. He knows Lakers are building for the future. He understands that, but he values a realistic chance of winning it all. We are very appreciative of the partnership that we've had for 8 years with Genie, which is Genie Bus, and Rob, which is GM Rob Pelinka, and considering the Lakers and considers the Lakers as a critical part of his career. And then he also went on to say, we understand the difficulty in winning now while preparing for the future. We do not want to evaluate what's best for LeBron at this stage in his life and career. He wants to make every season he has left count, and the Lakers understand that, are supportive, and want what's best for him. So, how this reads to me is LeBron, he hasn't asked for a trade. Obviously, he exercised his player option to stay in LA. So he wants to be there, but I get it for LeBron. I mean, he has a few years left. These championships are going to come up big in his career resume. So obviously, he wants to contend for another championship if possible. And everybody thought adding Luka, that was a piece there, but especially in this free agency, you weren't going to do much. There just was not a lot there. So I get where the Lakers are coming from. I get where LeBron's coming from. But according to David McMenamin of ESPN, LA exercised discipline in its negotiations to preserve cap space for 2027, when the team expects to have space to sign a max salary free agent. Now, that year is the free agency of Jokic, Giannis, and Cat. I name those guys because they're all big forwards, like centerman, power forwards, whatever you want to call them. Big men who can play alongside Luka. Could you imagine Luka and Jokic on the same team? Luka and Giannis? Holy. That would be incredible. Especially Luka and Jokic because they're good buddies. So seems like what LA is trying to do here is just conserve cap space for 2027, which I think is a good strategy. You're in LA, you got that draw. I never thought Luka and LeBron were the best fit. I didn't feel like their play styles fit great. They fit fine because, they're both great players, obviously. So, if this is their plan, I don't know that Luka is totally on board with this because, he went from a team who was competing for championships in the Mavericks and doing everything they could to build the perfect roster around Luka. I think they got pretty close. So now Luka, these are kind of just a throwaway season next year and the following to get to the 2027 free agency. Who knows if Luka is totally on board with that. But I think it's what's best for the Lakers long term. They have pieces now. Austin Reeves, get Ayton, connect. So I see some pieces there, but they let Dorian Finney-Smith walk in free agency for a deal I really thought they could have re-signed him to, but the reports are that they like I said just now, they want to save and they don't want to sign too long term, so they have the money there, which could end up being a case where they have a pretty bad team. especially after this year. So we'll see how that goes. And do I think they consider trading LeBron? Yes. I think if LeBron sees that this team has no chance, I think he should just request a trade out of there, and it won't just be because the Lakers won't be good. It just like, I mean, when you're a 40-year-old, you gotta just try to chase that one last ring, and it feels a little bit different for Steph because he's been with the same team for so long that it's like, man, I don't know if he can leave Golden State. But for LeBron, he's jumped around so much. Jump around one more time. Trade him back to Cleveland. Go win one more for Cleveland where you were drafted. You'd be loved there, LeBron. And he'd fit in really well with that lineup. Um, Imagine having Garland, Donovan Mitchell, LeBron, Mobley, and Jared Allen. Holy! Talk about a starting five. That had to win the that would have had to have won the championship this year if that happened this year. So interesting to say the least. I think the Lakers should just ship LeBron away. Thank him for all that he's done. Thank him for bringing another championship. Thank him for adding to the Lakers' history of absolute legends. But I think this is the right move for the Lakers. You gotta move forward, and especially with that free agent class coming up, preserve some cap space to try to take a swing. But also there's risk. I mean, who knows if Giannis or Jokic or Cat would even be there? And it's like two of those fishes fall back in the ocean. It's like you can't. There's nothing else to catch really in the pool. I looked at it. I mean, there's a lot of guards, there's nothing. There's only like Jokic and Giannis are like the cream of the crop in that, and obviously they're the best in the league, so that makes sense. But like, there's a very real possibility that this is the plan, and you get to the offseason of 2027 ready to sign somebody, and nobody's there because they all re-signed. That's just a very real possibility. And then you're like, well, now what? Um, and I'm sure Luka would not be happy with that outcome. So should be interesting to see where this goes. I think at the end of the day, LeBron stays, but definitely going to be receiving calls. But also, I don't think his trade value is that high. I mean, he's a 40-plus-year-old. Who knows when he could just retire or get injured or something. So I think teams could probably get him for relatively cheap for the player he is. And should be interesting to see where he goes. Next up, the Milwaukee Bucks. What an implosion from 2021 when they won the championship. I have been a Bucks fan off and on. I just really like Giannis. Just unbelievable talent. One of the greatest scorers we've ever seen. So this is very weird. This is a very weird offseason for the Bucks. Let's just start with the obvious. They waived Damian Lillard to clear $113 million off their books. This alone is very puzzling to me. Obviously, Lillard has the Achilles injury, probably wouldn't play till at the very least the end of next season. So I get it from that aspect, but this just seems like such a low blow. A guy who's injured, a guy who's tried his best for your organization. You traded for him. He's been good at times, bad at others. Can't really stay healthy, especially over this past year. And you just waive him and you clear the books. But I think even more puzzling is the move they made after bringing in Miles Turner to a 4-year, 107 million-dollar deal. Very puzzling to me. I Miles Turner is good, but like I don't think he should be your priority, and I'm not sure that this helps the Bucks. I I, I get it. You want to try to make one more push with Giannis. I mean, I don't blame you. He's a great player. He's your best player in franchise history besides Kareem, probably. So I get it, and you want to chase that championship one more time, but like, who's gonna play guard on this team? Like they re-signed Gary Trent Jr., who's pretty underrated. Torian Prince is pretty underrated. Kevin Porter Jr. So some depth. They let Brooke Lopez walk, replacing with Miles Turner. I just don't see how this team, they'll be lucky to contend for the playoffs, let alone a championship. So I think you should have just bit the bullet, traded Giannis, got a haul back for him, and recoup on some assets that you've lost from chasing. I get it. Giannis, great player. Super hard to trade a guy like that. But like, I feel like you got to. I mean, it's just like you have to find a new path here. It's really hard to build a team when you're so stuck in mediocrity, so mediocre, and that's what the Bucks would have been. They'll be maybe a play-in team, and then you're just not really touching the lottery unless you were to get like the Dallas Mavericks. Anyway, you're just like it's not gonna happen. So I think they should have just traded Giannis, not sign Miles Turner, have a really bad team. And I guess the reason they didn't is because they don't hold their first round pick next year. I get that, but like, I mean, Miles Turner's here for 4 more years, and he's a decent player. I mean, he was the center on a team that lost to the champion. So from that aspect, okay, but like, I don't know. I don't like it. And I think there's a lot of bad mojo that comes with cutting Lillard like this. Um, it makes it seem like you just stab your players in the back. I think that can spread really quickly in a locker room and across the league, and maybe prevent you from signing guys that help on this run that you want to go on. But honestly, the most crazy thing here is Giannis hasn't even announced that he would like a trade. He hasn't asked for it yet. I think Giannis is loyal. He wants to stay in Milwaukee, but like, if they're not going to build him a worthy team that can win a championship, I don't blame him if he wants to leave. And I think he should want to leave. There are plenty of teams that he can go to, still be number one, but have just better help. And I just think you gotta bite the bullet, like I said, and trade him, because you're going down a path that leads you in a circle, and you're just gonna be right back where you were next year, trying to chase something that's so far away, but you think is close because you have Giannis, and it's just not the case. So don't like what the Bucks are doing whatsoever. Lastly, the Denver Nuggets. Denver is coming for that ring next year and is going to challenge OKC probably better than anybody in the West at this point. Let's talk about they didn't really lose anybody. They were a good team last year. They pushed OKC to 7. Now, you signed Tim Hardaway Jr. They were the worst three-point shooting team last year. They add a shooter. Bruce Brown played in Denver, got a big payday. Can't remember where he went. Now he's back. Played well in Denver system. He's back. Beautiful. And traded for Jonas Valanciunas. Or Jonas Valanciunas. I think it's Jonas. Sorry, Jonas. Who is probably the best backup center that's ever been behind Jokic. So that's great depth. And the big one, they trade Michael Porter Jr. and an unprotected 2032 first-round pick for Cam Johnson. I like this trade. Michael Porter Jr. is quite expensive. Cam Johnson is quite inexpensive for the player. I think they're very similar, and Cam Johnson is very, 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 very much less expensive. So I like that aspect of it. I think Cam Johnson's the better player anyways. You are trading unprotected 2032 first, which could be pretty good, especially if Jokic is gone by then. I could definitely see a world where that's a top 10 pick, maybe even top 5 if the Denver Nuggets really, really suck once Jokic leaves. He'll be pretty old by then. So for the Nets, I mean, might as well. You're spending the least amount of money out of anyone in the league. You're trying to tank, obviously. Might as well get a first and a player who's still pretty good in Michael Porter Jr. At least put butts in seats in the Barclays Center. So I like it for both sides, but especially for Denver, you had to switch something up. And you get Cam Johnson, who can complement that team nicely. So I like it. But I think Denver, this is a successful kind of retool here to get some more depth, get a new player in Cam Johnson, trade out Michael Porter Jr., who has been good for them since they've drafted him in 2018, but it was time for change. You get this, and you move forward to try and dominate the West. So those are the 3 teams in the NBA that I felt like kind of made the most splashes. Pretty underwhelming day or couple of days in NBA free agency. And speaking of uneventful days in free agency, the NHL. Super hyped up. Obviously, you had Marchand, the other Ekblad from Florida. Those 2 guys. It's like, oh, which one's gonna hit free agency? Surely they can't get both. They did. Of course, they did. The Florida Panthers, the back-to-back Stanley Cup champions, soon to be probably. That's my prediction. No one's stopping that team, especially when they brought everybody back. So, not great for the rest of the league. And then who else? Who else was like a big one? Obviously, like I said, Nick Ehlers still hasn't signed yet. So stupid. Just sign on July 1st. Let's bring back tampering so we can actually have like a fun day. So then we're not going into day 3 of free agency and the best free agent available is still not signed. It's so stupid. It's like, can we just like bring back tampering? I know it happens marginally, but let's just give like teams a week to talk with players and then do free agency. I think that'd be so much cooler. So Nick Euler still needs to be signed. Who else? Who was the other guy? Obviously Marner. Marner was the top free agent. He was traded to the Golden Knights for Nick Waugh, his rights. Interesting kind of story there. Maple Leafs were basically just blackmailing the Golden Knights into trading them Nick Waugh for the rights, or else they were going to tell the league about the tampering that was apparently happening. So that's kind of funny. As a Golden Knights fan, I think Marner is going to be a playoff performer for us probably, ironically, and every Toronto fan is be mad about it. I think he'll really find his groove here. And it gives Vegas the scoring they desperately needed this year. I mean, they were top of the Pacific, but it just felt like at times didn't really have that scoring that they've had in the past, that depth. So this goes a long way in that. Sign him to an 8 by 12. I don't mind it. We'll see how he does in the playoffs, but I think he'll perform well. But okay, interesting deals here. Very, very interesting. I'm on this website. Got it sorted by AAV, average annual value. So top of the list is Mikael Granlund to the Anaheim Ducks. I don't know what it is with Pat Verbeek and his like obsession with bringing in veterans right now when you have so many young guys who could just immediately start for you, like Leo Carlson, McTavish. It's just so weird to me. It's like, why are we paying 3 years, $7 million for Granlund when you're a borderline playoff team? Probably not even. I maybe could see a situation in which the Ducks make the playoffs, but the West is very, very stacked. But like, I don't know. It's just kind of weird to me. I guess you want that veteran leadership, but bring in a smaller AAV guy. to come in and teach the young guys. I mean, this is the biggest free agent signing. Obviously, Ehlers will break this AAV threshold, but like, it's just, I don't know. It's so weird to me. Kreider, Truba, now Granlund, just like, what are you doing, Verbeek? Just let the young guys cook a little bit. Get some guys down in the bottom six. I guess Kreider can, but I don't know. And plus, like I've seen, like it's one thing if you spend some money on like $3 million for some veterans for the bottom six, kind of like Utah did with Brandon Tanev and Nate Schmidt, but like to help out the New York Rangers for Kreider and Truba, just weird. I'm not sure what Pat Verbeek is doing. Done a great job building that team with some very good young stars, but I'm not really sure what he's doing at this point. Next up, Gavrikov to the New York Rangers. This was kind of hyped up for like a week before free agency or something. Probably tampered on that one, so that's good. 7x7. Towards the end of this deal, will probably be pretty sucky, but who cares? The Rangers are always in win now mode. And this is probably the D partner for Adam Fox, so I like that fit. Tough loss for the Kings. I mean, I think he went into this year like around $5 million for his next contract, and now he's all the way up to 7. So they lose him. I like the signing for the Rangers. While we're on the Rangers, we might as well talk about the trade they pulled off, which I thought they fleeced. They trade Keandre Miller, which was kind of Gavrikov, kind of a replacement for Miller. They would have had to pay Miller. They didn't want to. So they trade Miller to the Carolina Hurricanes for a first, a second, and Scott Morrow, who is a pretty good prospect and could end up being better than Keandre Miller. Keandre Miller is a very polarizing figure. A lot of Rangers fans don't necessarily like him very much. He played really well when he was on the same line as Adam Fox, which that's basically just Adam Fox. Everybody who's played with Adam Fox is good. Like Lindgren signed like a 4x5 or something. And he has sucked since he been removed from the Rangers and Adam Fox. So very interesting there. Let me do some quick math here because they won't just give me the AAV for Keandre Miller's contract, which is super annoying. Let's see here. All right, yeah. And the Carolina Hurricanes signed him to an 8-year, $7.5 million deal. Kind of a lot. Kind of a lot for a guy who was sucked without Adam Fox. But honestly, I could definitely see the Hurricanes turning him around. It's a gamble, but I think the Hurricanes, if any team could, it's the Hurricanes. They've done it with plenty of others, like Brady Shea. They kind of turned around, got him paid big time. So I could definitely see it happening. All right, let's talk about the Kings because, like I said, they lose Gavrikov. Tough loss. You know who would be really good and solve that problem? Cody Ceci, says Ken Holland of the LA Kings. What are we doing? 4 by $4.5 million. Yikes. Brutal deal here. I hate it. Cody Ceci sucks. Had like one of the worst expected goals percentage all year for Dallas. What has he done? What pictures? What has he got on GMs that keeps getting him paid? I genuinely don't know. I don't like anything the Kings did really. They got Dumoulin. That one's all right. 3x4. Dumoulin's at least a good player, unlike Ceci. Anton Forsberg from Ottawa, goalie. I don't know much about him. Seems like a decent deal. And then you got Corey Perry. 1 year, $2 million deal. I think with incentives, it can get just below 5, maybe. I'm not exactly sure, just below 4, which is kind of insane for a 40-year-old who did a lot of his damage playing with the two best players in the world. Um, Very odd to me. Very odd. So seems like the Kings get beat by the Oilers and then they just want to copy the Oilers. That's kind of the theme I'm seeing here because Cody Ceci was an Oiler. Corey Perry's an Oiler. And obviously Ken Holland, former GM of the Oilers. Well, Ken Holland, I hate to break it to you, but you don't have the two best players in the world. I didn't know if you knew that. Um, yeah, I hate this offseason for the Kings. Let's move on to the Boston Bruins, who had another maybe not maybe. This is the worst contract of free agency. Tanner Jeannot, 5 years, $3.4 million AAV. Why? 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 I don't understand it. I don't. Genuinely. Why? Why? I, I'm baffled. Why would you sign this? This guy is still making money off of 1 year where he had 20 plus goals. And that was like 3 years ago. He made Tampa pay a bunch to trade for him. Did nothing. Has gotten consistent contracts since. And then this. Sweeney, what are we doing, man? I don't get it. I'm not even a Bruins fan, and it's just like, what are we doing? What are they doing? What are they doing? It's just so weird. I mean, he's had that 24 goal season or something, and has had less than that in the last 3 or 4 seasons since then. Combined. It's like, how is this guy worth 3.4? And honestly, the 3.4 ain't the worst. Boston is not going to be a good team next year. You sign it for 3.4. Who cares? But 5 years? 5 years? You could be contending and that thing's still eating into your books. And I get it, the salary cap is going up. Still, this is just bad practice. This is so odd to me. I don't understand why you signed him to 5 years. I just would love to know the rationale behind it. But that's just me. Finally, Carolina. Well, I might talk about some more. But Carolina. Why are we not spending money, Carolina? They lost Brent Burns today. I mean, he's not great. They got Keandre Miller, so I guess that's technically money spent. Not sure if it's great money spent. But, I mean, you have all this money. I get it. Marner is off the market early because Vegas trades for him. They better get Ehlers. I've heard Ehlers to the Lightning, which would be scary. But honestly, if you're Carolina, you have to. You have to find a way to get Ehlers into Raleigh. Or Raleigh, or whatever. I don't know. I just, it's so weird to me that, like, they've only signed 2 free agents, and the highest is 1.1 million, and you had all that cap space. I guess maybe you're saving it for something. Extensions. I'm not exactly sure who needs an extension. But it felt like this was your chance to get some players. And obviously, the free agency was not great. It was maybe the most anticlimactic thing ever on July 1st. It was like, I thought some news was supposed to go down today. And nothing happened. And it was like, oh, this guy gets signed for minimum deal. And he's a prospect. And that happened like 10 times in a row. And then we got the Brock Besser signing to Vancouver, which was crazy. 7x7 something to Vancouver. Great deal for Vancouver. Which was kind of weird because he had like a whole farewell tour thing with the fans in Vancouver, and now he's back. So good for them. But yeah, Carolina, we gotta get the cash spending up. We gotta throw a few dollars at some guys here because you just got destroyed by the Florida Panthers, and they're going to destroy you again if you don't get some firepower out there. So, chop, chop, Carolina. This is your chance. You have a ton of money for a contender, and you have multiple guys on very cheap contracts. Now, they did extend Logan Stankoven to like 8x6, which was a phenomenal deal, by the way. But still, let's get some firepower in this lineup here and get Ehlers. You have to at this point. If they don't, it's an absolute failure. Who else we got here? The Sharks. I'm not sure what the Sharks are doing. They bridge dealed Will Smith for some reason. Bizarre deal. Bizarre. I don't understand it whatsoever. He's like a young star. Why are you signing him for 3 years when you don't need cap space? 3 years, $5 million or something. It's like, what are we doing? I mean, I guess maybe he pushed for that and wouldn't take an 8-year deal because he wants to bet on himself. But like, what are we doing? Like, that's just so weird to me for the Sharks. And I don't even think they're at the cap floor yet. Because in the NHL, you got to reach at least the cap floor. And if you look at their roster, it's pretty bad. They should probably win the lottery next year. That's how bad it is. And obviously, some players are going to take steps, but I think they should have just spent. Obviously, they're not going to make the playoffs because they just don't have good players, but like, just spend on some guys that can maybe teach some guys some things. Their biggest signing is Klingberg from the Oilers for $4 million. It's not going to get you to the cap floor, guys. But yeah, it's kind of a boring free agency, honestly. I was expecting a lot more, but I think with the cap going up, we've seen a lot of players just returning. But yeah, hold on. Real quick. Let's discuss the state income tax thing that's going on, the debate across the league. First off, the cap is going up. That's a part of it. So just because these certain state income tax teams are signing these players doesn't mean the cap's not going up, which also allows them to sign these players. Second, it's just, I mean, it's also nice when you have a good team culture. And I think especially for Florida, they have such a good culture. They've won 2 straight Stanley Cups. It's very easy to sell to a player. Why don't you lower the AAV down a little bit and stay here? Especially for Ekblad, who stayed there his whole career. And Marchand, who's at the end of his career and wants to win more. And Sam Bennett, who is in the perfect situation for him as a player. On a team that he doesn't have to be chirpy or loud or a leader. He can just play his game. He's probably a little bit chirpy, but I guess more just so like he doesn't have to drive his line. Because guess what? He's got Verhaeghe or Rodriguez or Kachuk on his wings. It's a perfect situation for him. I think that should be what this is focused on, not the state income tax. The culture that Florida has brewed and created in Sunrise. I think that is much more valuable than the state income tax thing. Although I do think the state income tax does play a role. Obviously, I mean, why would a player... I think it's a combination of things. If a player's looking to... If they really like the culture, the city, whatever, and then it's like, well, I really like the culture in the city over here, but I like the culture in city over here. Wait, but this city doesn't have a state income tax. Oh, and this one does. I'm going to go with the one without it because I get more money. I think it's a combination of things, but I think that definitely plays a role. So, but I just don't want things, I don't want it to be taken away that Florida, like, you know what I'm saying. Like, Florida has a great culture. That's why their players are taking discounts, and because they want to win more and they want to win a third in a row. And I also think, especially Leafs fans, because Leafs fans will always chirp about the Florida Panthers. They're probably the most vocal about it. But for me. You just had your really good young wing take a discount. He would have got more in the open market. He took $7 million. Okay. So, but that's not state income tax. So when it happens to you guys, it's way different. But when it happens to Florida, it's state income tax. Remember that. Oh. And then what? Your nearly 40 goal scoring centerman took a discount? A very, very good discount, John Tavares? $4.5 million? Did he? No. That. But if when it happens to Florida with Brad Marchand, state income tax. I just hate that. It's so stupid. Like when it happens to them, it's state income tax. When it happens to us, oh, we're just such a great organization. So it's like, can we just give some credit to the Florida Panthers, please? That they ran such a great organization that players want to stay there? Can we give them the respect they deserve? That's all I'm saying. But nevertheless, pretty boring NHL and NBA free agency. Not a lot happened. A lot may not happen for a while because sports are booming. Salary cap is going up. Teams have the space. Offer sheets are not getting handed out very fast, like we did last year with Holloway and Broberg, like that. And even those ones weren't huge. They just ended up being good signings. So we don't see offer sheets very often. I think it'd be a better place if we saw some offer sheets, but we probably won't. So thank you so much for watching this video. It feels very long. It probably is very long. I don't know how long it is. Please like, subscribe, comment, all those things. Check out TikTok. It's greatly appreciated. Let me know what you think of this free agency, how your team did, what you think of other teams and how they did. What's the next sporting event? I don't even know. I kind of want to start doing some I don't know, just some fun videos like the NBA GOAT debate. Maybe some tier lists, some top 10 lists, some rule changes I would do, stuff like that. Just some fun videos over the summer because now we're kind of in the deep and the dark of sports. Not much on right now. Baseball is, but it's kind of like I don't really want to talk about baseball. I don't know that much. Hard to be really engaged in baseball right now. So like, subscribe, comment, all those things. It's greatly appreciated. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.